Well, hello, hello. Hey, Grayson, how you doing today? I'm actually trying to get my YouTube side up so I can see what's going on. You know, all I can see is the messages in the StreamYard right now. I'm actually in the process of loading part two of that statement up, of that first part of that video up. Maybe put that on live. I might be able to see what's going on. So, what are you guys up to today? Anybody? What are you doing out? You doing anything out in your hives today, Grayson? Looks like the YouTube side of this thing ain't wanting to cooperate today. Hey, Lee, how you doing? I've posted a couple videos of that, one already, but trying to get the second part of that one up. I don't have a way to stitch it together yet. Hey, Lambsbrook. Looks like I don't know what's going on with that one hive of mine. She built another queen cell in there. I think I'm gonna have to find the queen and pull out the queen and some of the brood and a bunch of nurse bees because they're overloaded right now. But that top one, I'm gonna let go. Just got an extra cell in there. They built another one for some reason, and so I'm gonna let that one play out. Whether whether it be two queens or it be just one queen out of those two. The nuke I have so far is actually it's got a cell in it. It hasn't hatched yet. Hey, Michael. Hey, you want to join me, Lee? Go ahead. Anybody want? Oh, that's what I gotta do. I gotta figure out how that goes now. Invite. Uh, Copy. I'm not gonna be able to pin it because I don't have the YouTube side of it today for some reason. There's the link. I just posted it. Six hives flying twice this last week. Okay. So you're starting to get a little warmer weather in was it New Hampshire? You said? Yeah. Um, so you're getting spotty warm weather. Yeah, it was a little cooler this morning, but we're sitting at 67 right now. Got up to 60 when I was going in, well, before I went into the hives. I was allowed to get warmer. That's why I couldn't view it. Okay. Hold on a second, guys. I'm muddling through. Muddling through on some stuff that I had laptop once. All right. You did not want to cooperate right there. Here we go. I've been seeing pollen and nectar sources coming in so far here in in Alabama, but I've also been feeding as well too. So maybe not all that's nectar. Some of that may be uh, what I'm creating at the moment. So what's going on with this? I don't have to see my mug on there on YouTube. Try and get to the chat portion. It's not wanting to cooperate. What the heck? There we go. All right, there's that. Right click. Right click. No, that's not what I wanted. The other thing I'm trying to figure out is how to pin messages. Hey, James. Welcome to the chat. Shit, I want to print the frame. None flying today. Okay. Hey, Vincent. How you been doing? Hey, Grayson. Let's see here. Copy. Let's try it again. That's not what I want. I'm still trying to figure this out, Lee. The splits I've been doing, the two of them I did already are doing pretty good. Like I was saying earlier, I may be trying to determine what I'm gonna do with um, my main hive. Put another swarm cell in, but it's middle of the frame, so you know I don't know if they're trying to supersede the queen or what. I haven't seen the queen yet. I'm gonna have to go back in probably tomorrow when it warms up. It's a little bit warmer, and look for the queen. Pull her out and make a split that way, and leave the cell in the main hive. Hello, Bryce. I'll add you to the stream here. Sound like you're muted. I can see you talking, but I can't hear you. I don't have. There goes my unmute. There we go. You're not muted on my side. Uh,
There we go. Can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you now. I can hear you now.
Okay, there we go. Hey,
I saw you talking, but I couldn't hear a word.
yeah.
So how
Hey,
you doing today?
I'm doing great. It was cold this morning, so the snow surface was pretty firm. So I went out and got a nice walk in. Probably walked about 4 miles on snowshoes. There's about a foot of snow on the ground around here.
So where are
And
you from, Bryce?
I'm in central New Hampshire.
Oh, okay.
And where are you from?
Dothan, Alabama.
Alabama, yeah, that's a little different than up here.
Now, you've heard if you've heard of Bruce Jenny, then I'm about 2 miles away from Bruce Jenny.
Okay.
So today I was just checking on some splits I did like last week. Checking them to see if the queens were walking. One of them is I have a queen, virgin queen walking, but they put another cell in, so I'm trying to figure out what they're doing.
Oh yeah, it's so cold here that can't even open up a hive yet. You know, we this past week I had 2 days where the bees got out and flew, did some cleansing flight, but I didn't expect it until March. You
Yeah.
know,
Well,
last year they didn't fly from the second week of December until the second week of March.
goodness.
So that's a normal winter for us.
Yeah. Been 3 weeks ago, I started noticing drone brood, so
Yeah.
there's a difference there.
Yeah, that'll probably, I mean, I'm new at it. So this is only my second wintering colonies. Last year I wintered my first colony along with a couple other colonies from a friend of mine down the road that I'm helping out. But I'm I'm doing insulated layens hives.
Okay.
So, so not a Langstroth, but and it's heavily insulated. So they don't use much honey. Last year, I had probably 65 pounds of honey in the hive, and I bet they use maybe 15 pounds.
Yeah, I left 90 on my. I had two high. Well, actually, I had two highs by October of this last year. Both of them were swarm catches. One I caught in May. The one in May I left. I made them a double deep. And they filled the whole top deep full of honey. I just left it on them for the winter because I didn't know what to expect. Because being my first winter overwintering, and they did great. And as soon as the one I got in October, I'm surprised with that one too because that was real late in the year. I had never heard of anybody catching a swarm that late and it making it through. So
It's funny you say that because the first swarm, the colony that I got to winter over last year was a swarm that I got in August. So I got it in August, let's see, of 2021, and I loaded them up with Better Comb. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, I've heard of better comb. Just that down here, they suggested I don't use it because it does get pretty hot down here,
Right, right.
and
Yeah, that,
and because I thought about using it for when at the beginning of the season, like right now, when you start making your splits, it gives them a little something to work with. So um, they suggested that it'd be fine to begin with, but as soon as it started getting hot, it would sag and cause problems. So I
right.
stayed
Yeah.
away from it.
So it does get hot up here. I mean, we typically in the summer we'll get into the 90s. 100 is kind of rare, although we'll probably about every other summer we'll get hundreds. But it's uh, it's very forested here, and it's very humid. So we're probably a similar summer. Our um, summertime humidity is probably averages between 80 and 90%. So, and I live like right now, I'm probably about 10 feet above the swamp level. So I'm surrounded by swamp. Pretty damp here.
I'm like about 2 hours, almost 2 hours away from Panama City, so Florida. So we're not far from the Gulf. Lee and I probably have Lee has probably has same environment, not better. He has swamps as well as water around them, as the Gulf too.
So that colony that I got and wintered over last year that was a swarm, I ended up splitting it. And I ended up this past year, I splitted it and I did a walk away first. And so I got uh, another colony that way. And then I split the strong hive again and got four queens in the male and gave them each a frame of brood and ended up splitting that colony again. So I got out of last year, I went from one colony wintered over to now I have six colonies. I lost one in December, and I'm not sure exactly, but I think they had a pretty heavy varroa infestation. They had plenty of stores, but um, they didn't make it. But out of this past summer, I ended up with going from one to six colonies, and I probably have 25 or 30 frames of comb built up.
Goodness,
So I call it a
I'm
pretty,
on the cone shortage myself.
yeah. Well, I call it a pretty successful summer, for that, and hopefully I'm going to go from 6 to 10 is my goal for this coming year, which should be pretty easy.
I've already gotten, like I said, I've already gotten two splits out of the main hive, and looks like I may end up with more. Because they're the brood. She had like 7 frames of brood in the bottom deep. So so they didn't have much in the way of stores, but she had the brood down there. So I had to do some shuffling with the top hive to give them some food and take some brood, and she had a lot. So they're overpopulated again. So I mean, it's been a try and keep up with them.
Well, I'm right now. I'm glad for winter because last year I was behind the eight ball the whole time with the bees. They were just way ahead of me, and I'm learning so much that it just I was chasing them all summer, and I was so glad when they finally went in the hive and didn't come back out. I was like, I can rest.
So what kind of do you have any kind of treatment schedule you do on them, or?
Well, I just through testing last year. I did. I'm trying to learn about the integrated pest management. I have on my big hive. I have a full screen bottom board and a pest control tray underneath. I did last year, this past summer, I treated them with a sumac smoke treatment, and it was quite effective. But I think it's probably like a lot of other chemical treatments because it is a chemical, even though it's sumac berries that I picked and dried. It's still a chemical, and it's still, I believe, going to build up in the comb. So it's nothing I want to use for a long time, but it was just like, I didn't want to be treating my bees, but when reality comes around to it, it's like, well, I'm going to have to do something, or I'm going to have to do the, Tom Seeley Darwinian beekeeping. If they get overwhelmed, they're going to have to euthanize the colony. So I don't know if I'm there yet. So I'm looking towards the oxalic acid vaporization and using brood breaks. The past 2 summers we've had a significant dearth, and this past year in August, I had my hives were completely broodless in the end of August, and
Huh.
so I didn't do much this fall because of that. But my big hives I kind of neglected, and that's one of them that I lost. The other one still looks pretty strong, and the one that I lost was a package that my friend gave to me for helping him with his bees. So he gave me a package, and it was a Carniolan Northern Queen, and they looked real good, but it was the package that they're not local queens. So I've got some local queen, well, relatively local. For some parts of the country, it's probably local, but I drove 4 hours to Vermont and picked up some queens last year, and then I got one mailed at the end of the season from a local New Hampshire queen breeder, and those 3 of those. Let's see, no, 2 of those queens I have that I got from Vermont, and they're doing fine. And then the one from New Hampshire is doing fine, and they're only in 6-frame hives. Now, these are laying hives, so they're not the same as a Langstroth, but
Yeah,
as far
they're a little deeper, aren't they?
they're deeper, and mine I adapted it to be a little extra deep. So they're about, I'm looking at my hands on the thing, and they're about like a double deep box. So
Okay.
they're a 16-inch deep frame,
All right.
16 and change, and so it's pretty much like, as far as the depth goes, it's pretty much like a Langstroth, a double deep Langstroth. So
Okay.
I don't, but it's like having a 5-on-5 nuke.
Okay.
And so that I've got 4 hives like that, and they seem to be doing great right now. We'll see what happens. Like I said, we got another month to go before pollen starts coming in around here.
Now, you said your area was sort of swampy. Do you have problems with any kind of hive beetles during the summer?
Hive beetles aren't a real big thing up here. I haven't even seen a hive beetle yet, and so, but it doesn't mean that they're not here. The closest apiary that's not my buddies is not very far away. It's only about 2 miles as the bee flies, and it's not. There's no big commercial beekeepers around here, so it's all backyard beekeepers or sideliner beekeepers that have stationary hives.
Michael, in the chat was asking what part of Vermont did you get your queen bees?
I'm from just west of Middlebury, Vermont, from Lemon Fair Apiaries. I think the guy's name is Andrew Munkris, and a really great guy. I didn't really meet him. I talked to him on the phone, um, but good. The queens seem to be doing well. He breeds his own queens, and he's been doing it for quite some time. And we'll see this year. I didn't pull any honey from anybody last year. Well, I did like a little bit of wonky comb, but it was only 6 pounds, but 6 pounds out of 7 hives. So I really didn't pull anything.
You really? So what kind of what kind of supers do you use, being that you're using those langs?
Oh no. I'm I'm doing the lay-ins horizontal hive.
Answer. Oh, horizontal hive. Okay.
Now my buddy Will, who I'm working with his bees, and he's got 8 frame Langstroth, and so that's what we're doing down at his place. He's kind of a bee haver.
There's a difference between keeper and haver.
Yeah, well, his family has a place down the road from me, and he lives down in Massachusetts, a couple hours away, so he doesn't get up too much. But I ended up hooking up with him and saying, "Hey, let me look over your shoulder while you work on your bees." And pretty soon, I was doing the weekly inspections. But I was, it was great to get the experience to work with bees, and it's really nice to be able to work with the two different types of hives so that I can kind of see what works for each one. Now, there's a reason why I'm in horizontal hives, because as you can see, I got a lot of gray hair, and so I'm not as young as yeah, I'm not as young as I used to be. So I don't like to lift that heavy stuff. But not that I'm still capable of doing it, but it doesn't always agree with me the next day.
A couple Motrin later, right?
Yeah, that's right.
uh, yeah. I've always been physical, so yeah. I use the Langstroth deeps um started messing with nukes because um trying to create what some refer to as insurance hives, so that if I raise them in a nucleus hive, then if something goes wrong, I can either, or say I do catch another swarm, and they need some brood and some force,
You
to
can
keep
use
them
them as
built
a
up.
resource
Yeah,
hive.
resource hives. So I'm trying to do that with some of these splits that I'm doing, and gonna find out how that's gonna work.
Indeed, that's what I'm going to do with. Well, I've got 10 swarm traps, and I use actually 4 of them now are holding some of those bees. So I'm going to use the swarm traps that I don't end up using this spring, and I'll use those as my nukes,
Okay.
because
Uh,
I have 5 or 6 frame and 7 frame swarm boxes.
All
And
right.
the sixth frame is a almost 40-liter box.
Goodness. That's what they say. Was it Beehive Democracy? Says it's probably the good volume.
Yep. Honeybee Democracy. Yeah, Tom
Honeybee
Seeley.
Democracy. Yeah. Yeah. Um, I've been using a Pro Nuke or one thing I found last year being the first year, and I haven't bought a single bee. I've caught all mine. So
That's great.
all my all mine's been just in the hardware. Now I'm starting to build some of the hardware, so I'm trying to minimize those costs. But the very first thing I caught swarms in was I went to a seafood market, got a styrofoam cooler, cut a 1.5 inch hole in the front of it, and put some frames in it and some old comb, and that's how I caught the first one.
Nice.
The second the second one showed up in my front yard on a tree. Scooped them off the tree and put them into that Pro Nuke and let them go till they built up, and then put them in a 10 frame. So
That's
that's
great. Yeah,
what's going on here.
I'm building all of my equipment. Just for the cheapness of it, and because it's non-standard. So, I mean, I could buy the Layens hive, but I can build a better Layens hive than I can buy. So, I mean, that's what I did for years. I was a carpenter. So I got plenty of skills and plenty of tools.
I'm a data technician, so cabling, installing servers and stuff like that, security systems. So I'm
No,
just guessing that this is I'm going.
you're way over my head on that wiring stuff.
So I mean, that's what I've been doing here so far. Just listening to people talking, evaluating information. My first season was, I mean, I was totally in the dark. Not surprised I got the two swarms I had survived the winter. That was my biggest fear when I got. I was okay, and then people started talking about, well, how you now you get them through the winter. Here in Alabama, there's warm spells during the winter where the bees are going to fly. So I just kept open feeding them, made sure that they had enough to make it through the winter.
Yeah,
So
I think mine will be fine this year. We'll see. Like I said, we got another month here. But hey, you got anybody else in the chat?
well, we got some people. Nobody's. Probably got to pin again because I haven't figured out how to pin it to the
Well, I picked it up off of you had it on there on the comment.
Yeah, I had not figured out how to pin it to the top.
Oh, there's the comments. There we go.
Yeah, so I'm pin it again. See if anybody else wants to join. Move this thing along a little bit. It's been interesting.
There's that.
Yeah, but so like I said, I'm still a novice at this, and treading ground I've never touched before.
Well, I joined a beekeepers association, local beekeepers association here this year, and I also enrolled in a, a class. Um, I've read a lot on the subject, but the class was nice because well, the woman who teaches it, she's in the Beekeepers Association. I met her probably 3 years ago when I was just before I had bees, and I talked to her about bees, and um, so decided that she was a good person that I thought I could learn from, and so she's teaching a class. and I am learning quite a bit. It's helping me quite a bit to have a little bit of a formal direction to the education. But I gotta say that I've been able to spend a lot of time watching different YouTubers, and there are some really, really great educational channels out there. I mean, some real beekeepers, and then some like university places that have really great information. And I mean, a bunch of the southern beekeepers, there's just a bunch of YouTubers. I like all those Louisiana beekeepers. Those guys are
Oh, you tell
now
like Mr. Ed, Dirt Rooster, and them.
Mr. Ed, Dirt Rooster, Mike, Barry, and I like Eddie Rawls too. Um, I like the way he's just really he seems like he handles his bees really calm, and I when I was just looking at people just trying to get used to seeing a box full of bees, I was doing it on YouTube, and so he was one that when I watched, I was like, oh, look at he's pretty mellow with his bees, and then he's got the way that he hangs his swarm traps. I thought was pretty clever. And so I use a French cleat that's kind of like that, so I can just go and hang the box on a tree and just make sure that it's plumb, and then it's good to go. It's such a good connection that I don't even strap it to the tree. I can pull it down and it kind of locks into the cleat, and and it seems to work great. I've gotten it to where I can strap a cleat on a tree, so I don't even have to screw into the tree. I don't have to put any metal in the tree. I just take a ratchet strap and strap on the cleat, and then I can hang my trap right on there.
Okay, I'm still here. My wife wanted to cross by behind me. I see you. No, yeah, actually, Dirt Rooster and Mr. Ed got me in trouble with when I got a cutout right after I got the first swarm, and they made it look so simple, So
Don't they though?
yeah, and it's like I told them both, sent messages to them, say, hey man, you guys need to show a little more in these doggone these doggone shows.
JP the Bee Man?
Who?
JP the Bee Man?
Oh yeah, I seen JP. Yeah,
watching him that's one who's pretty calm working on bees when he's doing a cutout. Oh my gosh, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, the first cutout I did, I took 170 stings that day. And I ended up losing all the bees in it because I wasn't because the vacuum. Well, yeah, it was because it was too hot that day, and I wasn't aware of how to keep them cool in the process. So that's why I said those guys. I sent them a message saying, "Hey man, you guys need to show more." I said, "I know you don't mean to not show everything, but for time constraints and videos and stuff." I said, "But you guys make it look too easy. There's a lot more to it."
Yeah. Now I'm seeing Michael down here. Yeah, Frederick Dunn. Fred's the man.
Yeah, Fred is. Yeah.
I think he has. But I have to say this: everybody has to, make adjustments for where they live, their locality. Frederick Dunn works well for me because we have about the same climate. We get the same temperatures. I actually think he probably gets more snow than I do, but I think we get more even cold temperatures. So I think I'm a little colder than he is. But it's great because I can go to his channel and see what he's doing. And then that's about what's happening with my bees. So, I mean, Frederick Dunn, as far as you're down in Alabama, and so there's got to be somebody down there that's close to your same, agricultural zone. that that you can look at, and when their bees are doing something, chances are your bees might be doing something real similar.
Yeah, there's a couple like people I talk to down here, but even in within each region is regional. The beekeeping bees, but even within that region, within 4 to 5 miles difference, um, that still changes depending on the floral and the nectar sources,
Right,
depending on what's growing in what area. So it changes up even regionally within the region you're in. You know, temperature wise, usually get your different latitudes are going to have different temperatures at different about the same temperatures, and they're probably going to be about the same things that they do. But depending on someone's flow may start before yours in the same latitude because they have different fauna and flora than we have.
right. Yeah, I mean, around here, I can just walk. I'm at the bottom of the hill, and I can just walk from my house and walk up the hill, and it's not a huge difference, but it's a probably about a 600-foot elevation gain to the top of the hill. And I forage a lot for mushrooms in the summertime, and the difference between the same mushroom when they come out at the bottom of the hill and when they come out at the top of the hill, there's a significant difference just with the mushrooms. So there's a definite difference as far as the floral sources of nectar. Also, at the bottom of the field, down at the bottom of the hill, they'll be blooming at different times than the stuff that's at the top of the field, up about 500 feet in elevation higher. So and that's only within about 3/4 of a mile. So, um, you know, the floral sources will change with going north or south or going up or down in elevation. You're going to get a different floral source.
Yeah, different moisture contents as well.
Exactly.
Some plants will grow better in the moist soil where they and other plants will grow better in the dry soil, and they'll react different in each place too. They may grow in the same environment, but they'll one will thrive in it, and the other will just do what it's doing. Limp along. But
So what is the main source of what's your main nectar flow down there? Your main pollen source and nectar
um,
source.
well, in spring in this area, you have privet, blackberry, of course, red maple when it's blooming out. It's already gone by, but it's not a major source. We don't really get a major flow till the tallow trees, which is right end of March, mid to end of March. The tallow trees float, and then it comes in like a flood for a while till like the end of June, and then we have another small little flow. We don't really in this zone where we're at. We never really go broodless, and it's not always because it'll be the middle of winter, and the bees will be dragging in pollen from somewhere. So so it's always something coming in, but those are the major ones.
The only thing we have that is in bloom right now is an odd one is witch hazel. And if you have any kind of heathers or heath around your house, those would be in bloom as well. Some of those are blooming. They bloom through the winter.
Yeah, we have
But
some henbit going on right now, and some clover,
yeah,
um,
we can't even see the ground up
dandelions.
here. It's all snow. So.
Yeah, everything. We have a lot going on the ground right now. It won't be long till we start getting the tree sources coming in. In my yard, actually, I have a winter jasmine that they sort of limp along on with that too. They'll come get nectar and pollen off of it through the winter. Um, and then I have a couple other winter blooming trees, which they get nectar and nectar and pollen off of. I can't even speak today. Tripping over my tongue.
Well, we're
But
about to start maple sugar season up here. So people have probably mostly tapped out their trees. Um, maybe. I mean, usually the traditional tapping is anywhere from mid-February to the end of February if you've got a sealed like the vacuum systems, or if you're just running buckets, then you tap them a little bit later because you don't want the tap holes to seal up too early. But that's generally the end of February, beginning of March, and then at the end of sugar season is when the red maples blossoms come out, and that pretty much signifies the end of maple season, maple sugar season. But that's when the bees will start building up around here.
yeah, and usually the red maple over here doesn't bloom till um, like around Valentine's Day. This year it was a little early. It was actually at the beginning of February here. I was thinking about tapping that red maple tree to see what kind of syrup I got off of it. I heard it was decent.
Yeah, that's what people say, that even the red maples will give you can actually have some pretty impressive sugar content to their sap. So it's worth it if you wanted to, try and make a little bit of maple syrup to cap it. You can just taste it and see how sweet it is. If it tastes significantly sweet, then yeah, and I'd go ahead and
Yeah,
evaporate
well,
it up.
yeah, it's either that or if it doesn't do well for that, I've heard someone say that they tapped some trees and the bees went after the syrup coming out of the trees, so it'd be an alternate food source for the bees.
It could be. You'd want to make sure that it's going to have a bunch of minerals in it, and because it's you know, I mean, when you boil down all that sap and you make maple syrup, there's a deposit that precipitates out of the maple syrup, and they call it sugar sand. And if after you've
Huh.
been boiling for a while, you end up sometimes you have to clean that sugar sand out of your hands so that you don't affect the heat transfer, and you could end up burning the bottom of your pans. You don't want to do that. um, but that sugar sand is a mineral that's in the sap, and so there's a lot of dissolved solid in there, so it's not going to be like feeding sucrose, like feeding table sugar, which is a very clean carbohydrate. The maple is, so if you do that, it's probably you're going to want to make sure your bees can get out and poop. I mean, I don't know. I've asked questions about that before because we always get damaged trees in the wintertime, and then you'll see the maple trees in the springtime. If they're damaged, they'll start dripping sap, and you could get, as kids, we'd always go around and grab the maple icicles because they were nice and sweet, but it was from where a limb got damaged and it was just dripping sap. And so there's no reason. I mean, it's got sugar in there, so the bees are out there looking for liquid and for nectar, and so any kind of sugar source, I would imagine, they'd go after.
Huh. I don't know if you watched Hillbilly Earl. Hillbilly Earl comes up with a bunch of stuff too. You were talking about. I was asking about treatments earlier for like hive beetles because he uses uh, peppermint extract in his hive, and
Yeah,
it helps keeps it down. You know,
I've
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 tried
seen
some.
I've seen where people put the little peppermint candies in there.
And yeah, and they'll eat that, and the bees will take and consume that too. And what I've noticed with it, they'll put it all in the rainbow around the brood, keep them.
Huh.
That's where they'll put all that sugar at. It's around that to feed the youngsters. So, well, I see like Lee's back here from Kodiak Farms.
Now, where's Lee located?
He's in Louisiana.
Okay. I lived in Louisiana for 2 years. Um, I went through the first and second grade. I lived on an air base. My dad was an Air Force pilot, and so we lived down in an air base down there near Alexandria.
Huh. Yeah, I grew up a military brat myself. Lived in Germany 3 years as a kid, and then we came back. We ended up at Shaw Air Force Base in Sumter, South Carolina.
Okay, yeah, no,
Don't
my dad was scheduled in New Hampshire, um, at Pease Air Force Base near Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and
Yeah, I've
then
heard of Keys.
and then they closed it down quite a while ago, but and then we were at I think it was called England Air Force Base down there outside of Alexandria, and then
Huh.
we went to a place out in California, near Atwater, California. It was right in the heat of the like agriculture land out there. And then we came back to New Hampshire, and I've been in New Hampshire since I was in third grade. And I've traveled quite a bit since then. I got that travel bug, being a military brat. So we traveled all over the country, and I since then have traveled quite a bit. I used to go up to Alaska quite a bit, during the summers, but since then I've just been here. I always came back to New Hampshire because it's nice. Um, it's a beautiful place, but I like the cold because it keeps people away.
Yeah, I went to Laconia one year. One
Oh
year I
yeah,
decided I was
for the motorcycle week.
Yep, motorcycle week.
Okay, yeah,
Um,
that's we all stay home.
Beautiful time of year up there too. All the leaves are changing colors and beautiful.
It is. It's really a beautiful place. I mean, it's just like there's so many beautiful places in this country. I got to say that I like I said I've driven across the country by myself probably 12 times, and I I love it. What a great country we have. It's there's so many great places to see and people that are so friendly that it really I think it's such a great place. I love it.
And I'm finding out too, though, that it seems like you find all kinds of people everywhere, but it seems like the bees right now seem to be a conduit to people actually conversing with each other again. More than we
It, it,
used to.
it is. It's common ground.
Yeah, a
And
neutral, safe space.
yes, yes, it's a great one. It's a great one because it's you know there's life's too short to get caught up in you know all the arguments and stuff. It's like there's so many other things that we could be occupying our time with, and I think those are that's what makes life worth living.
you know, I could disagree with something that you say or whatever, and still be able to talk to you, and and we can agree to disagree and not argue and fight about it. I state my point of view, you state your point of view, and both of us will walk away with something from it. If we don't just go and get
Yeah,
shut
well,
down and say no.
we hope anyways.
Yeah,
I mean, we should because if we're not, then we're not really communicating with each other.
A lot of people close their mind off. This is the way it is, and that's it, and they don't want to change. You know,
Well,
I try to take from everything. Even if I disagree, I try to look at it from their point of view.
that's the really hard thing, because everybody has a different point of view, and you never really coming from the outside. It's really hard to see their point of view, and if somebody's not very articulate at conveying their point of view, then it's really hard to know. And so it's everybody's got their own perspective, and they're looking at the world from where they stand, and we really got to try and look at the world from where everybody else stands, or at least have some compassion. So some people don't have much, and I admit
Yeah,
there's sometimes that I don't have much compassion either, but I try to keep an open mind. It's
yeah. There is a difference between stupid and ignorant.
Well,
You
we can.
can't fix stupid.
I always like to say that I'm being polite.
Yeah, if someone's ignorant about something, they just don't know the information. Where if they're stupid, they won't accept it. So
Right. Well,
you
then
know,
sometimes sometimes you got to play the educator, and sometimes the challenge in educating is actually presenting stuff so that people can actually understand what you're trying to say, and sometimes that's the really hard part with the communication, because we're all not educators. We all can't come out and say exactly what we want to say, and so there's a lot of room for misunderstanding with that kind of communication.
well, if you watch any of my videos, I stummer and stammer a lot because I'm trying to communicate what I'm trying to say. It's like I'm trying to figure out the right words.
Well, I'm still trying to figure out how to get audio onto my videos, so you're way beyond me.
Well, all the thing is, like, it's like I put two videos up today, and it isn't. I don't have the program to try to stitch them together and make it a one continuous video. Is what my problem is. I usually do everything raw, straight from the phone, and I use a cell phone and a Samsung A12. You know,
Yeah, hey,
that's
hey,
that's
I
my
know one
camera.
of those.
Yeah.
Hey,
It's
I
got
just,
the
I just posted a short this morning, um, and that I took with my phone, and by 3:30, it had 1,000 views.
huh.
Yeah, it was
You
just a
had to have.
Valentine's Day cleansing flight. It's only a
Oh, okay.
it's only a 6-minute clip, but
Uh,
so here's somebody down here that I've seen her name before. Grammy Midwife Suburban Homestead, Lisa.
yep. She lives up in Ozark, which is probably about 30 so minutes from where I'm at,
Okay.
and yeah,
Hi,
she's a
Lisa.
good.
I've seen your name before. I like the name. Anyways,
We sometimes help Bruce Jenny with his honey and fight his nasty bees.
yeah. So, do y'all have any of the Africanized bees up there yet?
I can't say that we do. I haven't noticed any. That's why I'm glad I'm not in Texas right now, because that's
Yeah, I don't think I'd want. I don't think I'd want to be there.
yeah, because
Ain't
they're
honey
in the
season
Africanized
today.
zone.
Well, I was wandering around in the woods today, and I gotta build some hives. It's gonna warm up in a couple of days, and I'll start to I'll get my table saw out and start ripping some wood. And I got some work to do.
I need me a table saw. I got a skill saw I use, so everything's
Table,
not truly plumb, but
table saw is a pretty handy tool. You got to be careful, but you, you can do an incredible amount of work with a table saw.
well, that and the fact that you can at least put a straight edge on it, and you cut it straight.
Yeah, yeah.
Where when you got a skill saw, you wobble a little bit.
Well, I from time to time I've been able to cut a crooked cut with a table saw. I didn't really mean to, but
Yeah, usually that happens when you sort of stop midway and say what, and you go push it, and it goes off a little bit.
oh, yeah, got to be careful.
Yep. Um, I think I'm gonna shut down this live right now. Because around there's beekeeping gardener, and he's supposed to be coming on sometime this afternoon. He's from Europe. Catch his live, and
Lisa, yep. I, I I've seen
yep.
people make a table saw that way. Done it
I've actually
myself too.
seen YouTube where they took it looked like a roto zip, mounted a blade on it, and then built a wooden frame around it and made a skill saw out of it.
Wow.
Had everything was mounted down, but so it made a skill saw out of a like a roto zip.
Well, Ed, it's great to meet you face to face, even though we're 1,000 miles away or more.
Yeah.
So
um, hopefully next year, I'm making plans to go into Hive Life if I can, and meet some of the people that I've been talking with, and maybe we'll see you there too, Bryce.
well, I've got a bunch of stuff to do. This is just by chance. I saw it and I was like, you know what? I've never shown my face on YouTube, so this is my premiere.
Well, I'm glad you made it on mine. So,
Well,
and
well,
I'm
well. Thanks for having it.
and I just sort of picked the time today because it seems like every time I go to do one, someone else is already running a live, and it's like, okay, I'll join in, to theirs, instead of running my own. So I figured I'd do that today, between in a breath of space between other lives going on.
Well, this has been fun. I've never done this before, and I my bubble is pretty small from COVID. I don't get out much, and I've been able to isolate quite a bit, mostly because I can. It's easy, and I enjoy solitude. I wander a lot in the woods. Like I said, I forage for mushrooms, but I'm a gardener that I work by myself most of the time, and to have a little social activity is awesome. Thanks, Ed. I, I
You're
appreciate
welcome.
it.
I'm glad you're able to do it today. Maybe
Okay,
catch us on again sometime, and we'll do it again.
okay. Take care.
All right, you too. And so long, everybody. I'll see you guys on the next live, whether I'm on the live or my live or someone else's.